you are hardworking, you finish faster lah, isn't it? You don't need to wait for your member, your part finish or not, right? You just work hard and do your part. Agree? Okay? Right. So, everybody, when you write your the chapter 1, 2, 3, all this, the name is standardized worldwide one, universal across all university one. So, chapter 1, introduction. Don't go and write some other strange chapter 1, okay? Copy only, right? So, as the name suggests, chapter 1 is just to introduce the reader to the whole project paper, isn't it? So, chapter 1 will have 5 subtopics, like what is listed here. So, all these subtopic, also the name is standardized. Don't go and change the name into something you like. No, we use standard name. We expect there will be these 5 subsections. Can you understand? Okay. So now I will explain the concept or the requirement, what to put into each subsection. Okay. So you have to take note here. Otherwise, you simply do. You may not get the marks that you want, right? So in section 1.1, we will discuss about the background of the study. You're listening. This part, you may think I have background only. This is the part when I check your seniors' work. Many of them got it wrong because they are so used to writing normal assignment essay. They thought intro, I write anything I want. 100% rejection. Why? Because there are certain things to put in and they don't follow. They thought I just write whatever story I like. You understand? Right? So to me, the highest rejection rate so far is 1.1 because students take it for granted. They thought I write whatever background story I like. That is not the case. Okay? Right. So, what to put in 1.1? Now, 1.1 is just the general subsection. And you see, there are a few components. So, if the part is not connected to each other or is too lengthy, you can break down to even further subsection. You understand? 1.1.1, 1.1.2. You can use your judgment to do that. Okay? So, normally, the first thing we will talk about under background of study is the dependent variable, not the independent variable. Because the dependent variable is the most important variable, isn't it? That is the most important one. Independent variable is the secondary. Okay? So normally you write an essay, you will start with the most important thing, isn't it? So the important thing is the dependent variable. So what do you have to write about your dependent variable? As in any essay, you define your dependent variable first, isn't it? Let's say your dependent variable is anything? Stock performance. Define what is the meaning of stock performance. Okay? Now, when it comes to writing project paper, unlike normal assignment, normally if I ask you to define where you search for the definition, you just simply Google, isn't it? Then whoever give you the definition, you just copy, right? Project paper, we are a bit more particular. Normally, we don't like all this website or anything website blog all this we don't want. We will cite from journals. Unless it's statistics Statistics, of course, we can cite from newspaper all the reliable sources. But even definition, don't go for funny website someone geek for geek all this funny thing No, it has to be a very formal document. You understand? So if you want to cite even definition, and must got citation because you see, research project is about who says what. So you don't simply just write and then, whose opinion is this? Nobody. You understand? So must have citation for anything that doesn't belong to your own idea. So citation normally we get from journal. Alternatively, because citation, right, you can get from books. Books are okay. E-book are okay. Okay? Right. So we will just define, right, what is our DV. After that, we still want to talk about our DV. Definition, very simple, right? One sentence, finish already. You can talk more about the importance or the role of your dependent variable, like stock performance. Why is it important? Because it reflects the economic growth of the country, isn't it? Because stock market is an important indicator, isn't it, of economic growth. Meaning, you elaborate further why your dependent variable is an important aspect, right? What does it contribute? Something like that, you understand? So that you elaborate further on your DV. After that, you look at past literature. Past literature means journal. Past journal or studies that also study on your DV, but we want to find out in the past, what are the factors that influence your dependent variable? This is where your I discover will come in important, isn't it? You type stock performance, you see, in the past, what did people do about stock performance? The idea is to provide an overview to the reader. In the past, what are the types of research that were done in relation to your DV? So let's say my DV is stock performance, isn't it? If you go through your journal system, you notice that, wow, this is one of the most well-studied area, isn't it? Many people try to study all the different possible factors, isn't it, influencing stock performance. So how am I going to put it into my 1.1? So if you want better marks, of course I tell you the best practice. When you read journal by journal, you notice that they will belong to certain categories, isn't it? Right? Maybe the first journal will look at the influence of, company profit, company cash flow, all those kind of things. Company size on stock performance. So all these factors are called firm-specific factors, isn't it? Related to the firm. So I will put that as one category. When I read further other journals, some they look at macroeconomic factors, isn't it? Your textbook answer, isn't it? Past study, they look at the impact of inflation rate, exchange rate, GDP. That I put under macroeconomic factors. As you read further, some look at corporate governance factors, the board size, independent directors, isn't it? Right? All this. So I put as corporate governance factors. You understand? So when I write, I will see do you simply pick a few journal and then randomly explain, or do you know how to categorize them? So I may write something like that. Past studies have investigated, right, the relationship between firm-specific factors and stock performance, general. Then I go into for example. Then I pick some example. Maybe some journal, they look at, like I say, profitability. Who? Right? Some look at firm age, the age of the company. Then I put my citation. Meaning you start with the broad, then you give the breakdown and who study on what. Do you understand? Right? So when you do that, you perform a more comprehensive review rather than you randomly choose 5 journal and you simply put in 5 and then I can see, these 5 are very random, no proper category, nothing. So that will differentiate your results. You understand? The ability to know how to look at similarity among the variable, among the factors, and how you categorize and then how you break them down. Okay? Right. But at this point, the only factors that we won't put in is our independent variable because we will keep that later, you understand? We build up the story first. Past study, what else they look at. Our IV, we keep it later. Okay? So when you do that, finish already your DV, you understand? Definition, you can talk a bit about the role or importance of your DV. Past study, what are the factors they found that affect your DV? Can you understand? These 3 areas. Right. So after that, I will go into my IV. This is the part if you think you want to split them into a different subsection, 1.1.2, you can do that. Okay? IV, you will first define your IV again. Right? Same thing, define your IV so that your reader, maybe they don't really know your IV when they read, at least they know, oh, this is what it's about, okay? So you put your IV there. But after that, what do? You will look for past studies that investigate the relationship between your IV and your DV. Meaning not just any random factor. Now we zoom in to be more specific. Past study, any study that studies something quite similar to you or close to your study. Right? The relationship between your IV and your DV, any past study have done that. May not be exact lah, but there's some close resemblance to yours. And you review. How to review? Later I will show you sample. I'm just telling you the concept first. Okay? The purpose is so that you tell your reader, in the past there are some study that look at something similar to mine. But of course there must be something different lah. You understand? Okay? So in terms of IV, that's all you have to do. Definition, studies that look at your IV and your DV, the relationship between your IV and your DV. Done. I put that as 1.1.2 lah. Finish. Okay? Then the third part, if you want to put under 1.1.3, context of study. Now, context of study is just a general name. All these are general names. Later, you have to give it proper name according to your study. Just like you don't put DV, isn't it? You put your dependent variable name, isn't it? So, context of study, what does it mean? Okay. When you write the first two part on your DV and IV, this again, what I'm saying is, one thing about research is, not all researchers will have the same mindset. You have to understand that, okay? Meaning, even between me and your two tutors, all of us have written research project, but we may have, a bit of different approach, right? So what I'm telling you is the approach that I prefer lah. Means my tutorial group must follow lah. Sorry lah, right? Okay. But if let's say your tutor say, that's not how I write my thesis last time, right? Can you do it universal? Am I right or not? Not only limited to Malaysia, stock performance. Any country has stock performance. So why you keep talking about Bursa Malaysia? Then the whole thing looks so narrow, the only country you know is Bursa Malaysia. Do you understand? Right? So my approach normally, when I talk about my DV and IV, I don't restrict to Malaysia. I talk in terms of worldwide, general. When I explain my IV, DV, I talk in general. I would say stock market. I won't say Bursa Malaysia. You understand? Okay? So keep it general. But in the context of study, I have to bring back my country of study. So that after I know in general my DV, IV, now, context of study, you talk about the background of your IV and DV in the Malaysian context. Example, my DV is stock performance and my country is Malaysia, isn't it? So what can I talk in my context of study? I can talk about Bursa Malaysia lah. This part looks like your normal essay. You can talk about the history, the background of Bursa Malaysia. You understand? Why? Imagine that the person who read your report is a foreigner, right? Don't know much about Malaysian stock market. So this is the part you give them an idea, so they know, you are going to study Malaysian stock market. What is it all about? How is it like? At least you tell them some background so they understand, Bursa Malaysia, got how many markets, got how many listed company, who is the regulator, all these simple things. Essay you do, like your normal assignment, okay? This part you can write the normal story. You understand, right? And there's a difference here. Context of study, this is the only part you don't need to think research. You think normal assignment, okay? So, as I say, if you're talking about stock market, you can write about Bursa Malaysia's history. And if you want to put any statistics, any real life statistics to support your study. Example, let's say you are looking at financial literacy in Malaysia, isn't it? So you might want to, there are statistics, isn't it? I think every year got people do survey, isn't it? Malaysia Malaysians financial literacy got any improvement or getting worse? They are always got research one, right? Survey like from Bank Negara lah, sometimes from certain banks they will do their survey and they will publish it, make it available. So this is the part. If you want to put in any statistics, any graph, this is the part you should do it. Why? Because it will help to build your story. Let's say your story is financial literacy in Malaysia is still poor. You say even though I got a lot of financial education, got AI tool, everything teaching you about literacy, but don't know why Malaysia still very poor literacy. When you make a statement like that, because you want to tell the justification why you want to do research later on, isn't it? Prove it. How do we know your literacy is poor? That's where you put in the statistics, isn't it? Maybe survey show the index keep getting lower and lower. Or maybe you're looking at bankruptcy rate. You say, Malaysia bankruptcy rate, the highest is among young adults, age 20 to 30. I think you heard before, isn't it? Correct, right? But if you just put a statement like this later on, people may say, hey, you prove it. Right? Who says that? So if you can provide the statistics, the graph, the pie chart, the breakdown of the different group of bankrupts, right? Then it will create a more convincing background, isn't it, for your argument later. So statistics should be under context of study. Okay? So that's why I say it looks like your normal assignment, isn't it? Sometimes you put graph, you put pie chart, all this. You want to put under context of study. But what you should not put under context of study are journals that study on your variable in Malaysia. Sometimes students get they confuse, They talk context of study, they repeat back IV, DV up here, but now they keep all the Malaysian study, they put it into context. No. As I said, context of study, don't look at journal. We look at, really like your normal assignment. You tell your story, background of Bursa Malaysia. You put in real statistics. It's like your normal assignment. You don't put journal, but in Malaysia, who and who study on DV, IV, that is not context of study. Is that clear? Okay, right? So, finish lah, background of study. You can see it's not as simple as I write anything I like. There are certain things that we require. Okay, right. 1.2, problem statement. To most researcher and examiner, when they look at your project paper, the most important part, your selling point, is your problem statement. To know whether your research is worthwhile, is valuable or not, is in your problem statement. Like you want to sell an idea, there must be something selling point, isn't it? Right? To know this is an A grade, B grade assignment. So normally, how to sell your idea, your problem statement must be very good. Okay? Right. So what do you need to put into your problem statement? 2 areas, but you don't need to divide into subsection. Normally we put different paragraphs only. Okay? 2 things. What are your research issue? Issue means problem lah. And number 2, what are your research gaps? They are different. Some students, they thought the same, but when we read, we notice there's only 1 out of 2. No, research issue and then research gap. 2 different areas. What is the difference? Research issue is, why do you need to research on the topic? Remember, in last class I said, whatever topic you choose, there must be logic, isn't it? Must got justification. You don't simply put 2 variables together and say, nobody do this too, so I do lah. No, there must be a justification. Why you think your IV may affect your DV? You understand? Okay? Right. So how to do this? So when you choose your topic, I'm sure sometimes your tutor may ask you, why you study this relationship? he also has that. Oh, he don't want to check. Yours is what, Dr. Koh or Bernard? Dr. Koh. Oh, he don't want to check yet lah. Right, okay. After check, maybe he'll ask why lah. Why why this IV can affect this DV? Cannot see logic afterward, right? So meaning, going back to criteria to choose topic in case you don't have your topic, there must be a reason why you think the IV can affect your DV. Understand? So that reasoning, you will put it here. Now, some of you now, you may say, wow, so many things, but how to write? Don't worry. After I finish this chapter, I will show you a sample. Got sample one, don't be so scared. After how to write, I sit there 24 hours. I don't know what is an issue. I give you every chapter, how I teach, I will give you the concept first. Then I will show you a real sample, right? So the application part lah, don't worry, no need stress so much. I can smile a bit. Week 2 was it? Week 2 cannot smile, means week 14 very, very depressed already. Yes, is it depressing studying here? You look very happy, right? Right, okay. Don't worry, all these got sample one. I'll give you 2 sample later, right? For you to refer to. Okay, but you know what issue means? Why you need to study on this? Like I say, let's say you want to look at some AI tool, how it affects financial literacy. So what could be the research issue? You say, maybe and then among Gen Z, because Gen Z very IT savvy, isn't it? You say, okay, financial education teacher teach, lecturer teach, they don't want to listen. That's why they don't know financial literacy. But now got AI too, they like it, isn't it? Digital way of learning. But still literacy is low according to statistics. So that become a research issue, isn't it? It's like, even now with using digital way of teaching, why there's no improvement in literacy? You understand? So that's why you want to find out what is the problem. Can you see? So meaning, every research you do, there must be some question mark lah. Why the problem exists? Okay? Right? Can Followed by your research gaps. Remember, last class I say, sometimes, again, depending on your tutor lah, right? But I think even Dr. Koh, that he's been tutoring some while, he still will not simply approve topic, isn't it? Right? And one area is we still need some level of contribution to knowledge. Cannot be, I see all these journal like to do this IV, this TV, I also follow. And then we also say, hey, so many already, why you're doing that? There's no research gap. Normally, we don't approve. You understand? But remember, I said how many gaps you need? 2. Enough lah, undergraduate, 2 enough. So to me, still remember, in case some students are not here last week, the research gap I've posted, isn't it? Because you say cannot see properly here. Bigger a bit. One of my criteria is one of the gap must be a knowledge gap. Because this is the most difficult one, isn't it? Knowledge gap meaning one of the variable must be less studied, not well researched, meaning there are not many journals on that variable. Okay? So one is a knowledge gap. Another one, you can choose any of this gap. The easier one lah. Easy one, I think got some group they can do methodological gap. Methodological gap, for example, in the past people do survey on this topic, but they can find data, secondary data. So they change the methodology. That is methodological gap. Population gap also very easy. You see past study, they keep studying on, let's say, all group of investors. Like say, last week, maybe you only look at the retiree, the one very exclusive group, okay? So you change the population. That's called population gap. Geographical gap also very easy, right? You see that, you look at all the study, only done in other countries, but Malaysia nobody do. That is geographical gap, understand? But remember, all these gaps are the not so important gap. So they cannot be the main gap, you understand? This one is like the add-on lah, but the easier one. But the most challenging one is the knowledge gap, understand? Okay? I will demonstrate more, especially some student I know still, I don't know what is gap, how to know about gap, right? Later I will demonstrate again using the library system, right? Continuation from my demonstration last week. So remember, you need to provide 2 gaps. Understand? I will teach you how to write now, but you take note 2 gaps. 1 knowledge gap, 1 is another gap. But can I have 2 knowledge gap? Huh? Can or cannot? Can. Knowledge gap, but you want all knowledge gap even more valuable, you understand? This knowledge gap is the most valuable gap. Because you come up with new variable, isn't it? Right? So if you can have knowledge gap, very good. All knowledge gap also never mind. Right? But can I have 2 location gap? Nobody do in Malaysia, nobody do in Singapore. So I do Malaysia, Singapore, 2 gap. Can or not? No. Other gap only 1 time. Understand? Right? Okay, After that, 1.3, research objective. Research objective, you need to break down further to specific objective, general objective, and specific objective. Okay? And I will explain shortly. For survey and secondary data, the requirement for how many objectives are a bit different. I will talk there. There's a slide on objective, right? But just take note, this part you break down to general, then specific. Research question 1.4 will follow your specific objective. Let's say you have 2 specific objectives, your research question will follow. There will be 2 research questions following your specific objective. Again, I will demonstrate shortly. Okay? And lastly, 1.5, significance of study. Significance of study also 2 parts. This one you can have subsection if you like, or you don't want, you just put in different paragraph. We have theoretical significance, practical significance. What is the difference? Theoretical significance means how does your project paper contribute to new knowledge? So this part is actually your research gap, meaning your theoretical significance must map with your 1.2 research gap. Because of your gap, that's why you study it, you contribute, isn't it? New knowledge because of the missing thing in the literature. So meaning, if you have 2 research gap, you should have 2 theoretical significance, and they must be similar. Understand? And lastly, practical significance. Practical significance means, because this is 1.5, you haven't collected data, isn't it? Practical significance means, how do you think your results later on can contribute to 3 different parties? Meaning, this is the practical part. And you have to think about it. Looking at your topic, who are the 3 parties out there? When they read your research, maybe it will help them in their decision making. You understand? Okay? Who are they? Normally, the number 1 we will put is policy maker, the regulator, isn't it? Because in anything you study, there will be policy or regulation, isn't it? So normally we put policy maker. Like financial literacy, who is concerned if our literacy is low? Who is concerned? Government in general. Example, it can be the central bank, Bank Negara, or it can be maybe the education ministry, isn't it? Why all the young students all don't know how to save money, isn't it? Right? So meaning the policy maker. Okay? Normally we arrange from the most important hierarchy in the country, right? Policy maker on top. The middle one depends now. If you are doing secondary data, normally it's the public listed company because you study on their stock performance, right? So of course they are interested to know, isn't it? What factors affect their stock performance? Then I can put public listed company. Okay?